Well, I'm Leann Harris, and this is Getting to Know Your Realtor. And of course, this is season 3. And as you know, in season 3, I am interviewing authors. And so today, I have the opportunity to interview Michael Bernoff on average sex. And you can tell by my t-shirt, for those of you that are listening in your car, Michael has his average sex t-shirt on as well. I have about 52 pages that are actually folded down because I was so into this book. And it actually, literally, in one day, and it was on Saturday. I had read the book on a flight, and on Saturday there was a part in your book where it talked about trigger words, and I decided to come up with my trigger word, and it got me off the couch, out into the forest, had me running through the forest with my dog, which is the whole reason why I got her to start off with. And this morning I used my trigger word and actually ate the breakfast that I should have been eating instead of the garbage breakfast that I wanted to go eat. And so what I loved about this book is it really started making me think about my business, but it also made me start thinking about who I was and who I want to become and where I'm going and what my averages are, which is something that I didn't know when I first started the book. This is about your averages and your life and how to change you, competing against yourself. So welcome, Michael Bernoff. Thank you for being here with me.
Leann, I love it. I mean, I'm sitting here wanting to take notes as you're explaining all of this, and I love hearing the story. I love that you're interviewing authors too, because reading is I don't want to say a dying art, but people have to remember that the fastest way to change your brain is through words that go into your eyes and into your brain and circulate. So remembering reading is such a tactile, such a powerful experience for people. So I'm so happy that you're doing this for your clan, your group, your tribe. It's super exciting.
Well, it's funny because I told you that I was down in Arizona and I was very close to your office. And when I was—
How close? Like 15 feet? Were you stalking, looking in the door, or like?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't drive past it, but I was at the McDowell Mountains Marriott.
Got it. Okay. That's literally when we do events, we have people stay there because you could walk, it's 3/4 of a mile to the Institute.
Yeah, super easy. So I was there. I was with a board of directors from both of my Portland and my Arizona location. And I was explaining this book to them. And it's funny that you said reading is a dying art, because they said, oh my gosh, it's not on audiobook. And I'm like,
that's on purpose too. And I'll explain that later.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay. So take it away. Keep talking.
Well, no, we originally, when I talked to my publisher about that, they said, have it come out a second time. They said, what are your thoughts on that? I said, I want people to physically get the book, because Audible's great and you can listen to it for convenience, but this book, the way it's built, and a lot of people don't recognize, it is not just a book and it's not just a title. It's a way of living. So I have people buying hundreds of books, like guys that own dojos, people that own gyms, Orange Theories, different things, and they're putting them in their lobbies, because just physically having the book is different than having it hidden in your Audible. So I don't know if anyone's watching this, but like physically having a book that looks this cool in your lobby, right? Sits there. You don't get cancellations. People were not going to ask you about can I move from 3% to 2% on my commission, because it says average sucks in your car. So what happens is I have real estate agents literally giving the physical book to, listen, I want to find you above average home, the exact home for you. And they're giving it to them on the first showing or the first, buying experience, either one. Like, look, I want to get the premium for your house, and I want to find you the ultimate house. So I teach them how to put it literally on the passenger seat when they pick you up. I got that for you. And it's about how I think about things. And then people are not going to say, can I go to 1.5%? No, I don't do that. And I teach people how to never, ever take that, because listen, folks, we shouldn't be doing that. So we do have the audio book. I have thousands of audio courses and things we do. I love auditory, but I wanted people to physically have the book. And here we are at the year mark. We got 22,000 copies in circulation from 3 emails and a couple of recommendations.
Well, and I also sold it to all the flight attendants while I was on the plane, because I read it on the way there and I read it on the way back. And when I'm really absorbing a book, what I do is I slow down and I read every single word. And I also get into it like almost textbooky, right? Like if it's a book like this, I want to process it, and I'll almost sometimes I'll close the book, stop, think about it for a little bit, and then I pick it back up. So I read it on the way down and on the way back. And I had flight attendants asking me about it and me talking about you. I said that I was going to be interviewing you and telling them where to find you and everything. So it was really cool.
Very cool.
It really stands out. And you're right. It's like people should carry that book around. Like just carry it around. See what people say to you.
It's the greatest recruiting tool. So outside of the book, when I created the concept average sucks, how I created that was a while ago. So everybody understands this is not one of those things where it's like, I'm better than you. It's like, no, it is a recruiting tool. So there's probably 5,000 to 10,000 real estate agents out there wear these shirts on a regular basis as a recruiting tool for selling houses or listings or even recruiting. Because the type of person that likes the term average sucks is an above average person. Like, I like that shirt. You get very few negative looks. So people that work out, people that are really great moms and dads, people that care, people that want more out of life. So people will say, man, I love that shirt. It's a recruiting tool. So for like $20, people are buying a shirt and getting a 3% commission on a $6 million home. So people like, I turned $20 into $180,000 in a commission. I've had somebody tell me that before. I have that in writing, and goes, please don't tell the IRS about capital gains. I invested 20 and I made 180. So, but it's literally, it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of living, and it's to destroy something that really messed us up as kids. I mean, did you grow up middle class?
Much lower. But
like lower middle, or like lower, like had nothing?
Low had nothing.
Okay. The good thing about low have nothing is you're motivated. I grew up middle class, which I explained in the book, and like I had enough. And at least when you're broke, you're motivated. When you have enough, your motivation's dead. So I would say 60% of the world in the 70s, 80s, and 90s had a really good life. And good life is what made us ill prepared for 2020, 2015, 2016, really kind of messed us up a lot. So the average is really destroying this natural magnetic pull to being average, or we could use a better word, pathetic. But we need to really step up our game.
Well, in the book, though, you talk about get around better people too. You do talk about that. It's like you do need to have different voices around you. And I think that when you grow up low, you know, even further down and completely broke, you are surrounded by the wrong people. And so you have to outgrow them. And I thank God you talk about that in the book. I have already done a ton of work around that in my work life, because you have people that really want to hold you back, that, you know, will possibly even in your family, which was what causes these generational issues with people not being able to get out of poverty. And until you understand it's okay to continue climbing and shining in your own way, you actually can continue generational poverty. And I'm glad that you touch on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, so this is the part I want everyone to understand, is that I sat there in front of a bunch of doctors, and I very wealthy. My background is in psychology, but I have no psychology degree. I failed Psych 101 3 times. I charge more than any therapist in the country for results work, right? So I have people come in and they pay a fortune to me to get them over major trauma, because my background's communication, influence, and psychology and neurosciences. That's my last 20 years of obsession.
Wait, while you say that, hold on, and I'm gonna jump in page 77. If we fast forward today, we don't have enough challenges to create our own. And I know you were talking about psychology during that time, so I'm so excited you're going down this path. Keep going.
Yeah, I love it. And I love your ADD too, because I always tell everyone, if you don't have ADD, you should go get it, because every wealthy, happy, successful human I know has ADD. So you should go get it. It's a dynamic disorder. It's not attention deficit. It's like hyper focus, being able to do a bunch of things at once. So what's interesting about the psychology of this is that most people don't realize that your average, we all have an average. So I'm in front of a bunch of doctors, and I said to them, do you know what your challenge is? And these are not normal doctors. These are people like all the people that, like, I want to say Dave Asprey is not a doctor, but the guy that invented Bulletproof, but that level of doctor, like the people that Oprah would have had on her show back in the day, hundreds of them in a room in Nashville right in 2019. And I said, do you know what all of your challenges are? Why enough people don't listen to you? Why your practice is doing 5 million and not 50 million? Why you're doing 50, not 100? I said, your average. And then I just stopped. And I wait, because I'm 6'6", I'm 240. You're not going to come at me, right? And I got that Jersey accent. So I literally stopped. And then I said, okay, no one in this room is average. Every one of you is way beyond what an average person does. But you have an average. You have an average the way you communicate. You have an average the way that you spend time, average amount of times you're intimate in a year, average amount of times you spend with your children. You have an average in your communication. Like, you take the wealthiest people in the world, you take a Warren Buffett, he has an average.
Right.
If he wants to be a trillionaire, he needs a different average. So all of us have an average. You have an average amount of times you eat broccoli in a year, average amount of times you eat funnel cake, because that was my favorite thing when I was a kid, average amount of times you go to Disney. We all have an average. Like an agent, I sell 9 houses a year. You will do between 9 and 12 between 6 and 12 every year for the rest of your life until you change what your average is. So the most dominant force we have in our lives is a magnetic pull to be who it is you currently are and to pretend you're going to get what it is you want. Prove me wrong. Anybody wants to write into your show and tell me I'm wrong, I'd love to meet them, because I'm not going to say you're wrong. I just know that you do not have to try so hard to be you. You are guaranteed to get the life you currently have by just waking up in the morning. Stop trying so hard. To get what you want requires a completely different level of play.
I agree. Tell me, I want to know more about your psych degree and talking about, you're failing psych.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about it. Yeah, of course.
But I want to know how does that correlate, or at least bring me back to the place where you said, as humans, we do not have enough challenges in our day-to-day life. So we create problems, or we create challenges. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're saying, where you say, like, everybody tries so hard? It's kind of like your fake ID story. Like, everyone's trying to be somebody else, but they're not actually breaking their average. So in the book, you talk a little bit about how to do that with some steps. Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I have a 9-year-old, and we have her watching Little House on the Prairie now. And I do that on purpose. Like, literally, we're in season 2 this summer because I don't want her watching the crap that's on TV. And we didn't get screwed up too bad from Little House on the Prairie when we were kids, right? So, and it's interesting, like, every show has a problem. Like, literally, you either go blind, or someone you know gets tetanus, or you lose your chickens and you can't eat. So, like, in the old days, we got adversity from life. Even back in like the 80s, like, I remember adversity was, I would collect Bazooka Joe comics, right? Do you remember Bazooka Joe, the gum?
Yes.
And inside the gum was, like, you'd open it up and there's like, oh, you could get, if you collect 900 of these, you can get a $3 camera that was probably made in China somewhere, right? Like when we were kids in Japan. I don't know, was it made in Japan or China when we were kids, right? It was made somewhere overseas, or Korea. And what happened was, if you saved enough of these, and it was like, oh my God, this is going to take a while. So I would find some outside. I would have to buy gum. It took all summer. And then I had to go get a COD, or not COD, forgive me, would you have to get, like a check from the bank, right? Like a cashier's check, right?
Yeah.
So I'd have to ask my parents. I'd have to go down, mail it in, wait 7 to 12 weeks. Just life used to have adversity. Like, you used to have to walk places, wait for things, wait for film to get developed. Like, we literally had life, had lessons. And then now, right around 1995, we missed it. Like, the middle class, I believe, was a concept that overrode biological function. So I've been studying this for quite a while. So what happened was that in the old days, like around the 30s and 40s and 50s, they said, hey, let's get to a point in life where people could feel safe. If you remove people's adversity and you make life easy, Amazon delivery, I love all the stuff. I use it. Yeah. Amazon delivery, Netflix. I mean, do you remember, like, you go on a date? Remember, like, in college, high school, you go on a date and you go to Blockbuster for 3 hours. Do you remember this? You sit there and finally find the film you wanted, and it wasn't in stock. And then you're like, had to deal with that internally. Like, God, I wanted to watch that, and it wasn't there. Now we get pissed that things don't download. So our adversity creates growth in a muscle. Adversity creates growth in a relationship. I will tell you, if you're married and haven't fought, that shit ain't going to work. I mean, I'm going to tell you, if you don't have issues, don't look for problems. Don't go screw up your marriage, right? But you got to have tough conversations. You've got to deal with stuff. You've got to build the muscle. Like, in rapport, I teach people, if you break rapport, build rapport, you build better relationships. So what I'm getting at is, if we do not have adversity in life, meaning challenges, we don't grow. So this is why I mentioned in the book, getting out there and doing races, Spartan races, pushing yourself, starting a business is adversity 101, man. That's hard. If you want an easy life, go get a job, work for somebody else, let them tell you what to do, clock in, clock out. You want to be successful, work for or become an entrepreneur. So if you work with a legitimate entrepreneur, you got adversity and really help them grow your business. So I just tell people all the time, if you do not have adversity, don't look for life to be hard. You are never going to grow. So that's why I always tell everybody that. So that's the quick version. But if you want me to go deeper on that, ask me a little more particular and I'll get there.
No, I mean, I did not know that part. I don't have a psych partial psych degree or any of that stuff, but I did talk about that a lot in Portland because obviously I'm in Portland. Portland is actually technically burning constantly. We are like, we really do have fires everywhere, and we had horrible protests that are ruining businesses.
You have actually people with no backbone out there. Let's get really real. And if people had a backbone and actually said, no, we are not going to do this to our city,
right.
We would have a different city. The problem is people are not strong enough anymore to have that conversation, because you could sit down with a rioter and have a really great conversation if you had a backbone. And the problem is people are like, well, you know, I don't know what to say and I can't stop these people and this and that. So I don't want to get into politics, but.
No, but we did it. We had chaos, but I think it was because people were bored and they needed to create adversity.
They needed a problem. And it's so easy to recruit people into drugs and gangs and prostitution and everything when they have a problem. So I studied gangs. So my background is I've studied psychology, psychotherapy, hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming. I'm one of the best in the world at language patterns. I invented something called human action technology, teaching it, training it for years now. And it is what makes people do what they do. So if you have a bored person where life is easy, they're looking to be stimulated. So then you give them a Molotov cocktail and say, let's be part of something. It's easy to recruit someone into a gang that has no love, has no connection, has no reason to do something. It's not like you have a bunch of real estate agents burning down houses, right? It's you've got people with no purpose. So they sold them a purpose. Shit, if I had no purpose, remember, I don't know if you remember, I was a drunk when I was in college because I had no purpose. I needed to, oh, dude, look at me, man. I could funnel a drink better than you. I could literally, oh, dude, you think you're that good? I'll drink this whole bottle of Rumplemints in 5 minutes. You can't do that. Because, remember that? I'm bringing back our age, right? I think you're younger than me. But the point is, we used to do these things because I wasn't great at sports. Didn't have the courage to be as popular as I wanted to be. So you know what I did? I wanted to be great at something. So I was going to be the best drunk. I had a fake ID business. I was going to be the guy that produced the alcohol. I was going to be the man that did that. So I used all of my, to the tune of going and getting arrested for it. But I literally did all this at a very young age because I didn't have confidence and believe in me. So then I took an easier path of watching Law and Order, NYPD, and all those negative mafia movies, right? I'd watch The Godfather and I built that instead of listening to personal development and growing an incredible life.
Is it bad that when I had my kids, we used to have beach weekends only to watch The Godfather? I think I was in your
Are you Italian?
Club. I'm not Italian. I'm not Italian. Everybody thinks I am. I'm actually like everything from the UK. I'm English.
I get it. Yeah, The Godfather is great. It's a great business movie. If you haven't watched it, everybody should. But the problem is if you try to act it out in your life, that becomes an issue because it's easier to do the crime thing. It just takes just as much effort to build something great. So it's fascinating right now is that people that don't have a purpose, it's very easy to sell them a purpose. So I have been on this big rant lately about independence. And I don't mean like political independence. I mean like if you teach a human being, and parents out there hear me very clearly, and employers and people that are building teams, if you teach people how to be independent, meaning I don't need you for attention, I don't need you for emotional support, I don't even need you for finances. What a wonderful way to live, to not need anybody. Then you can be truly free in your relationship. So if you don't need your relationship, like my wife and I love each other. We don't need each other. We support each other. We love each other, but we don't need each other. And the benefit of that is we have complete independence. And I'm telling you, if you could offer that as an employer to people, like especially recruiting as an agent or as even bringing on an admin, I'm going to teach you how to be financially secure so you don't need me. So you show up every day so we can build something. Then that person will never leave you. It is the greatest sales pitch in the world. It was the original American sales pitch, independence.
So good. So good. All right. I want to make sure that I get people to really understand the processes through average sex. So one is, this is about the individual's average. This is their average, and you wake up every day, and it's about how to break out of your own average for starters. The second piece that you get into is, of course, the mindset part of it and understanding how to do it. So when I told you before we actually started recording, I said I got really pissed off in the book. You want to know what page it was, or do you know what page it was?
No, it was probably that. Actually, yeah, I do. Was it the part when you kept on doing the same thing over and over again?
It's when I had to do the assessment.
Yeah. Oh, the assessment. Okay. Yeah. The assessment was, that's, what did you find out about yourself?
I mean, what you said in there, and I'm probably not going to quote you exactly, so you can correct me, but basically what you said is if you're excelling in one part of the 4 parts of the assessment, but you're sucking in other ones, you're just overcompensating.
Yep.
And so you're still having your average, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I suck in 2 of these, suck. Like,
Yep.
and then, so I can't, I loved when you said, like, you've never seen a highly successful person overweight.
Nope.
I mean, you've never seen, I mean, Warren Buffett and, some other people, but maybe it's just because they've gotten past that age. I don't know, but it's like,
Yeah, but they're he's pretty, he's
they're
got some
healthy guys,
energy. He's
right?
got some energy and
He
some,
wakes up every day and fires it off, right? So you don't ever see anybody that's overweight and successful. So then I was like, okay, so is the lid of my success part of my health? Yes, I got that. Then I was pissed because I was like, I've been average for too long. Second one was relationships.
yep.
And you really start to think back if you've ever been divorced, like you said, maybe even before we were recording, is that if people had read this book while they were in a marriage, would they have come out different? I don't know.
Yeah, they probably would have. And
Yeah.
what's interesting about this is, and I'll add to your question that I believe you're asking, is the assessment. This is where most people go wrong. That when they want to change their average, and let me just get just really clear with everybody. Everybody has one. If you literally had, let's pretend the truth is happening, that Mark Zuckerberg is watching everything, and let's pretend you got to watch the tapes. He knows how many times you worked out, how many times you cursed, how many times you looked at a site you shouldn't have looked at, how many times you looked at the thing on Nordstrom's you wanted to buy, then you finally had the courage to do it, or whatever it was that you did, right? We all have an average in life. And if somebody was watching you and showed you the Excel spreadsheet or the Keynote, like whatever it is, and gave you a document of everything you did, there would be an average. And if you looked at last year, next year, any year, it would be about the same, give or take a small percentage. This is where most personal development speakers drug people and go wrong. I consider myself a drug dealer because I want to release dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin in people's heads, right? Get them thinking differently. Well, everybody, even Tony Robbins back in the day, be like, oh, take massive action, go do it. The problem with massive action is when you take massive action on your health. So let's say you are killing it in business and you are taking advantage of the market. You are doing well. You've got 852 listings between you and your team. I'm just hyper exaggerating numbers. You are moving 17 houses a month. You're killing it. You're making a lot of money. You're investing in everything from Bitcoin to buying properties to, land and everything. And you're killing it, right? But you're a little not healthy. So then what you do is you look at your health and go, I average 2 or 3, times a week or a month I'm going to the gym. What most people want to do is then they want to go, I'm going to start going every day.
Yes.
And they override their brain. They confuse themselves. It's like this, they basically just destroy everything that's working. Instead of realizing they need to change their identity, they still identify as a overproducer financially that has trouble working out, that at this moment is acting like a 8-year-old on Red Bull, like crack. Like they're like, I'm gonna work out, like I'm crazy. So my recommendation is, and I attempted this in January as a game, and this is how simple this is to explain. On January 1st, I did 1 push-up. Now, folks, I've done Spartan races. I've done 15-mile races. I played hockey. I still play hockey 4 days a week. But on January, I did 1 push-up on day 1. It was one of the hardest things in the world to do because I wanted to do 10 or 20 or 30. I did 1. You know what I did on day 2? I did 2. On day 3, I did 3. And day 4, I did 5. And what I realized, the first month I did 300 and something push-ups because by the 31st day, I did 31 push-ups. And you're like, Michael, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal came month 2, where I did 1,200 month 2. I'm now 130-ish days into the year. I'll do 130 today. Here's the thing. By the end of the year, I'll do 36,000 or plus push-ups that I will have done before the end of the year. And I will be averaging about 205 a day. Now think about this. If you're a human being that averages 200 push-ups a day versus someone that averages about 9 a day, are you a different type of a person? Yeah. The answer is yes. Here's the cool part. I'm doing all of this in under 5 minutes a day. And so in under 5 minutes a day, I've changed dramatically my body and my average when it comes to that. So I think a lot of people have to realize you don't have to go from working out once a week to 5. Just go from once to twice.
Okay.
Get that standard down.
So let's talk about that, because you really do dive down into the book and you talk about one of your clients that came to you and said that they were going to start going to the gym every day. They're going to eat all
Yep.
these healthy meals.
Yep.
And you actually did a case study with this gentleman, and you said you held him back. Basically, you held his reins for 3 weeks. And I want to talk about that part of it. We are talking to entrepreneurs out in the world right now. This is what my podcast goes out to. What's interesting about it is that I have fired, what's the word that I'm thinking of? It's the nutritionist. I've fired nutritionists because they will not tell me exactly every single thing that I want to do, because I go so fast in life and I have that speed over in business.
Yep.
Okay. So the nutritionist will try to rein me back in, but there was something that you said in the book, and I will have to, I mean, literally I was digesting it so slow as I was going through it, because I wanted to almost treat it like a textbook. You said something that you made him just track the healthy meals first. But why did he not just jump forward? You know what I mean? Like, that's a really hard thing for us.
Because it wouldn't take. And this is the thing. Yeah. The guy identified.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the word identify. We hear it a lot in terms in the world today, but most people identify as a person that could work out better than they do, or a healthy person that's choosing not to be healthy. Or we identify as, so this guy, he wanted to be in a movie, and he wanted to be in that movie 300. That's how I got this guy. If you remember the movie with the Spartans and all that stuff back in the day. So he came to me and said, hey, I want to get in better shape. And I gave him what to do. And he literally said, I'm ready. Just tell me what to do. I want to get the part in the movie. And I said, do you want this to stick long-term, or you just want to get the part and gain the weight back? And he said, no, I want it to stick long-term. So what I needed to figure out was, what was his standard? Like, what was his average? Right. And we found out that on a given day, and I don't remember exactly the number, he averaged about 14 to 16 healthy meals a week. He wanted to do 5 a day, like 7 days a week. He wanted to do like 30, 40 a week, where the dude only was capable of 16. So it's not like he couldn't do 40, but then you're lying to yourself and you're faking and you're playing a fake part. So the job is, we need to get people to identify as what it is they're capable of being by changing, by something called awareness. If there's time, I've got something for you and your listeners that I did with him that in 30 seconds a day got this guy way healthier than he was, way in better shape than he was, by doing something that sounds ridiculous that I don't even cover in the book. But it was something anybody can do. Do you want me to run into that now? Because I can literally give it to you.
Yes.
So this is nuts what I'm going to share with you, but I think all entrepreneurs are crazy. So this works for 100% of the people that I share it with. And I got to ask you, Leann, have you ever drank a shake before?
Yes.
So I've sat there in front of like the biggest network marketing companies in the world that sell shakes, guys making millions of dollars a year, and said, how many of you drink shakes? And they all make millions off these. I said, you should never drink a shake ever again the rest of your life. And they look at me like I'm nuts, because I got to sometimes confront people. Right. And they said, what do you mean? I said, here's why you should never drink a shake. When you drink it, it goes out of the container, into your throat, down your throat, into your stomach, and sits there. You need to chew a shake. And here's why. When you chew it, your brain then, if you just picture chewing, your brain actually will then know what's in it, send the appropriate enzymes to break it down in your stomach. What it is it's aware of what you're doing. So here's the secret to food and to everything in life. And I do this with money too. So pay attention, everybody. This is huge. It changes your average. What I teach people how to do is, food is, and I'm a linguist, a relationship. So think of it as dating. If you're going to put it inside of you for the next 7 to 10 years, you should probably know its name and where it's from and what its intentions are with you. It's like, let's get really real. So like, you're going to put something in your body for a period of time. You should know what its name is, where it's from, and what its intentions are. So it sounds ridiculous, but check this out. Food only has 3 names. If you call it food, it's not all the same. Chick-fil-A and Whole Foods broccoli steamed are not the same thing. They're not. McDonald's and AMC popcorn are not the same as a sweet potato. Do you know what I mean? They're not the same. So what I tell people is, when you sit down with food, you want to have a conversation with it. You want to go like, hey, listen, what's your name? And I'm being silly, but I'm not. So I broke food into 3 categories: nutrition, entertainment, and addiction. I'll do it one more time. Nutrition, entertainment, and addiction. How do you know it's nutrition? Come on, folks. If you put dressing on it, it's entertainment. If you get it at a restaurant, it's entertainment. All restaurants are what's called food poisoning. They're all designed to sell you shit, to get you to eat it. Their whole business model is marketing. Make it taste as good as possible. Even the healthy places, even Sam Fox would tell you this is True Foods. They're going to make it taste, because he doesn't own it anymore, but make it taste so freaking good so they want it, right?
Right.
So what happens is, addiction is, you've been to the movies, you've had popcorn.
Oh yeah.
A little bag, a little butter, entertainment. You go back for the refill, addiction.
Right.
So we're at Disney a couple of years back with my daughter, and Maya was 5, and we're walking through the park. And I don't teach her this, but she's 5. 5-year-olds know better. And everything at the park is entertainment.
Right.
Churros. Even though we go to the fancy restaurants and order off the menu. What's that?
Corn dogs.
Corn dogs, all that stuff. Like, so we order off the menu. Like, I'm like, can I get a salad? Don't put salt in it. It's still food poisoning, right? So it's entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. So we're one day at Naples, downtown Disney, and she goes, Daddy, we're getting a pizza. Can we get a salad too? She's 5. She knows better, because she knows we've literally done entertainment, 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 entertainment. If you actually take a minute to pay attention, I had Captain Crunch for breakfast. Entertainment. Just clap and go, I did it. Fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I had a gin and tonic for lunch. Entertainment. For dinner, I had Arby's. I don't know, people eat Arby's. I don't know what the hell that is. But for morning, I had something. There's going to be a day where you're going to be like, you know what? I've literally averaged 5 or 6 meals straight with entertainment. Wait a second. I probably should have oatmeal for breakfast or a clean salad for lunch. And then your average will change. The reason we don't change our average is we're not aware. So I always tell everyone, what's your name? My name is entertainment addiction or entertainment addiction or nutrition. Where are you from? I'm from a factory in Michigan, or I'm from the supermarket, right? What are your intentions with me? I'm going to feel good for 45 minutes. Like, if you're going to get blitzed one night, call it out. I'm here to get drunk. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to feel like crap tomorrow. Stop pretending you're not going to feel good tomorrow. Like, you're going to feel like crap tomorrow. Call it out. Say it. Because then either A, you'll reconsider, or B, you're calibrated correctly. Idiots wake up in the morning, and I use the word idiot, and go, God, what happened last night? You were a moron last night. The hangover is designed to remind you you were a moron. Just put it there. So that's what I tell people is, if you literally labeled your food in less than 1 second a day, each meal, you would change what you eat automatically. Guaranteed, over a period of 3 days. And I've watched people lose 7 to 10 pounds in 3 weeks going, Michael, I never thought of that before. It's not all food. It's awareness. Same with purchasing things. There is, there are things that are investments. Like Starbucks is a waste of freaking money. Walk in the place, go, I'm about to torture my body and eat and drink something that is a waste of money when I could have been buying Tesla stock or pieces of stock. Instead, I don't go to Starbucks. I look at Starbucks as financial devastation. And if you want to look at it as yummy, that's why I have money and you might not. And not you personally, but people. Listen, I literally drive by Starbucks and the sign means to me, financial devastation that tortures your body. That's what I see when I see Starbucks. So, sorry.
No, seriously, I love this.
I'm not sorry. I know you live in like coffee capitals of the world up there. Oregon and Seattle, it's all coffee.
I don't go to Starbucks, so you'll be proud of it. This is tea.
And coffee's not a problem. It's, are you going to spend $7 for a Frappuccino that tastes good, that's 1,000 calories, where you could be reinvesting that money and purchasing stock, a down payment on a house?
So then what do you call money then? What's the names of the money? You're not getting a relationship with that.
Yeah, so here's the deal. Assets, liabilities, and just financial devastation. And that's the thing, I look at it like that. Now, granted, I'll take a group of people to dinner and I will buy entertainment for the night. I'll spend $2,000 at Ocean Club, taking an appropriate group of people to dinner that is going to lead to $1 million down the road. I have done that to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars in my life. I consider that an investment. Yeah. I consider going to dinner with my wife. We might spend $500 on a dinner. I will go on a $30,000 5-day vacation with my family. I consider that, and a lot of times, an investment, because it's a great experience, show my kids how to play big. But then you also have to realize everything can't be that. So I look at investment and opportunity. I look at financial devastation. But when I talk about financial devastation, you have to realize, like, when you're in the line at McDonald's, call those things are what they are. You should be embarrassed to be there. You should literally go, what if your client saw you there? And you might not think it matters, but here's the deal. You're teaching other people that it's okay to be overweight while you're in line. You're telling people while you're in there in your Lexus that says Realtor of the Year on your license plate at McDonald's, people are looking up to you. You should really accept the power of your own influence and realize that. So I'm not hazing anybody right now. I'm just really thinking about how you're calibrating. Or go, I'm at McDonald's. I know it's not good for me. I'm going to eat it because I choose to and feel crappy tomorrow. Congratulations, you're honest.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so much. Like I said, this thing really triggered me in so many great ways. So the other thing that you talk about after you take the assessment, you now have gone down the path of knowing where you have some weak spots and where you have some great spots and where your averages are. You know how to track it. And then you get into trigger words. Do you want to talk about why you, so I have my trigger words. It's actually 3 words. Is that okay? Let's ask the question, because that was one of my questions in the book.
Yeah. So how to create the trigger words?
No, can you have a 3-word trigger word? Like,
probably not. You want to make it simple. So when I quit drinking, right? And I don't recommend anything to anybody. I didn't have a drinking problem, but I quit because one of the reasons I quit drinking was a lot of people have trouble with this. I have hundreds of thousands of clients all over the world, and some of them have problems, and some of them also look up to what I do. Like, I'll do an event 15 hours a day. People say, what do you take for your throat? Like, I have people like, what kind of water do you drink? I like Hint, I like Penta. And people want to know what I do. So I'm out to dinner with my wife, and I'm sitting there with a fancy bottle of wine. I'm like, wait a second, I'm encouraging other people to do this right now. I don't want to be that guy. So I accepted the power of my own influence. And I realized the word influence is a trick for me. I'm realizing we're always influencing people at all times, right? We're influencing people to make mistakes. We're influencing people to be entrepreneurs. We're doing stuff. So when I think of trigger words, what trigger words are is what I call a gut punch. It's something that if somebody said it to you, it's not like a word you like one of my trigger words is unicorn. No, that's not a trigger word.
Right.
A trigger word is something like, this is a phone, right? Remember old school phones is a phone. I have one in my office, right? And made millions of dollars on that thing over the years. I know that if I don't not share my product with people, I am being selfish. I know that if I don't feel like working in the morning, it is very selfish behavior that is out of integrity with myself. So I drive myself, because I know me, through not wanting to harm people. So if I don't make the calls, I'm being selfish. I know that if I choose to eat things I shouldn't, I'm going to choose to be selfish right now, and I'm going to eat this. Right. I'm not calling myself a selfish person. I am saying the activity that I'm choosing at this moment is a selfish behavior. So I like words that drive me. Like, let me ask you a question. How important is integrity to you?
Very.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about this for a second.
Okay.
If I said for the rest of your life, you could have integrity or you could have pride, you can only have one or the other, which word moves you more?
Integrity.
Okay. I'm going to ask you again. What moves you more, self-respect or integrity? Which is more important?
I mean, I have to say self-respect.
Very good. So if I said, it means something different. Did you feel self-respect?
Yeah.
Okay. So integrity is like a cool word and people like it. The word self-respect is something that's super important to us as people. So if I called you a fraud, would you be bothered?
Yes.
If I called you a liar, would that bother you?
Yeah.
Which hurts worse?
Probably the fraud.
Okay, very good. So what that means, that's a trigger word. So all you have to do is just tell me that you're going to work out today and don't do it and say, no problem, Michael, I'm choosing to be a fraud. Your brain would hear that. Did you feel that? So I'm going to skip the gym today and I'm going to be a fraud for about 3 hours and pretend I was going to do it and wasn't. And some people are like, well, Michael, this is ridiculous. Are you telling me to beat people up? No, I'm teaching you exactly what my arch nemesis do in the media. So here's the deal. I am the good guy that teaches people how to do this for good. Other people like me are hired by CNN, Fox, NBC, ABC to own your brain. I do it to teach you how to live a good life. They teach you how to own you. So they're literally, they know the same stuff I do, but they use it to own you. I want you to own you. So what you've got to do is get your labels down. And the problem with labeling is you're like, oh, I'm skipping the gym today. No big deal. I'll pick it up tomorrow. I'm lazy. No, you're not actually lazy. You're actually being pathetic. Use the appropriate word that's got a oomph to it. And you're being a liar. I'm going to be a liar today and I'm going to skip the gym. Yes. Your brain is going to go, wait a second. I can't do that. I'm not a liar. Whoa, that doesn't feel right. So what trigger words are designed to literally trigger you in your fight and flight modes. Yeah. So you're going to, like, I teach this during one of my challenges, and I'll give it to everybody who's listening later. They can take it for free. Is I recommend everybody to really find out what actually triggers you, because if you know what it was, you would stop doing it, and or you'd start doing it.
You know, it's funny, you had a case study in there about a gentleman that you had coached. And he had talked about himself, and you were like, yeah, who cares about death? Nobody's getting out of here alive. I mean, we've
Yep.
all heard that, right? But you really broke it down for him, and just on a personal level, because I think I always get these responses back about my personal stories. But my trigger word from yesterday, when I really started thinking about it, was wheelchair. And I'll tell
Yep.
you and the listeners why I came up with that, so that they'll go in and read this book, is that my grandmother had diabetes. And
Mhm.
I love me some candy, like love it, love it. I love sugar. And so I was thinking about my poor grandmother sitting in her wheelchair when I was reading your book. And I was thinking, do I want to be that burden to my children? Do I want to be a stroke patient in a wheelchair getting my fingers pricked at the last days of my life? Or do I really want to honor my body and my health and my children at the same time? I mean, and I think kids are very powerful influences, but my trigger word when I went to go grab candy was wheelchair. And I was like, ugh. Like, you just are sick when you say it to yourself, if it means that much to you.
Yes.
And so I want people to read this piece too, because it does go back to business, and you are being selfish when you don't lead generate and take care of your clients. They're going to get a crappy real estate agent, or they're going to get, whatever,
Yep.
but you've got to do your thing. So I love that part. Okay. So trigger word.
That was
And
good.
then go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, that was good. That's really sharp, because if we have children, we have to realize, like, I'm a big Metallica fan, and
I
I was
love it.
listening to,
Me
yeah,
too.
my 9-year-old loves Master of Puppets. She's been listening forever, but there's a song called Hero of the Day. And let me tell you, you people out there with children, nieces and nephews, or anybody in your life, this is, when I looked up what the lyrics were, I lost it. And here's what the lyrics are about. Children looking out the window or on TV, and I'm getting the chills, I'm telling you this, for somebody to be an example for them, because they don't have that example as their parent. And this is the reason I'm telling you this, is we live in a world today where Kim Kardashian has become your child's mentor.
Yeah.
And we need to be examples for our kids. We don't have to be perfect, but we need to stand up for things. We need to tell them, like, there's a direct correlation between religions that have dietary restrictions and wealth, and ones that don't. And you just do your homework, folks, if you don't think I'm kidding. The amount of wealth created by religions with dietary restrictions and ones that don't is 90% greater. Just do the homework. Just think
Wow.
about it. People that restrict alcohol, people that restrict certain meat products, just, you know who these groups are. I'm not promoting it one way or another. So what you do is you tell your children, we don't do these things, and pick one thing. We don't watch those type of shows. We don't do that type of thing, one thing. And when you do that, you give your kids something to be strong about, one thing, and you give them what's called self-respect. And that's the thing where our kids are missing these days. Kids are not weak or lazy. We have not been teaching them how to be strong and hold on to something. So that's my thought on that. So hit on the next thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that just got me thinking about some other stuff. I'm really grateful for the relationship that I have with my adult children, and my kids are, they're off and into the world and doing fun things. And I really do appreciate
Great.
that some of that has, I learned some stuff from my parents for sure. I'm telling you, man, I am such a fierce little lion for my kids. It's pretty funny. The mama bear for sure. Okay.
As you should be.
I have a couple other things that I tabbed down here, and I want to ask. Building the box, you talk about the 4 quadrants. Talk about that.
So here's the way the box works. If you ever asked yourself, why do I do what I do and I don't do what I really want to be doing? And why is it that I want this, but I never actually get it regularly or consistently? Somewhere in your past, you set up a plan for yourself in like a second you didn't even mean to do.
Yeah.
One day you got pissed off and you said to yourself, never again. And what you said to yourself is, I'll never date someone like this again. I'll never be treated this way again. I'll never make that little amount of money. I'll never make a stupid mistake again. And you meant it, because your brain goes, holy crap, he or she is so freaking serious right now. Whoa, put up a wall, never let them go to the bad thing again. So then instantly your brain goes, what do you want? And you randomly come up with stuff. You don't actually have a plan of getting it. It's just this dream board, this like thing on the wall. So it's like,
Right.
If you remember, and I was saying this earlier to you, I said, in life, it's like when we used to go to dinner, it's like with people, you'd say, oh, I bitch and complain. I don't want this. I do want this. I don't want this. And we dance back and forth between things. We don't actually get it. We just play with it.
Yes.
Then To the right, we build what's called an identity. And most people's identity is you identify as a man or woman or person that wants something, that doesn't want something. And that's how you look at your life. So all the decisions you make are to keep you in the middle, not actually to get it, to want it. Here's the crazy part. If you ever asked yourself, why do I hire the wrong people? Why do I have bad clients? Why are people a pain in the ass? Why does my mom drive me nuts? Well, here's why. We recruit people into our story. And our last wall is the relationships in our life. So we have what we want, we don't want, our identity, and the last wall of the box are the relationships. So we recruit people like your uncle to drive you nuts, your cousin to remind you you're great, even though they should be telling you you're not as good as you could be. Your wife to either piss you off, make you happy, your husband to piss you off, make you happy, that employee that quits right at the right time. You need all of these people in your life, which you recruited indirectly, unconsciously, to help you be who it is you are. So we live a life that is designed with the relationships, the identity, wishful thinking, and avoidance, and that whole thing is called your average. Here's the crazy part. Everything you want is on the other side of the wants. The problem is you can't get there from inside the box.
Right.
The only way to get there is we got to grow out of the box we're in and realize we did this to ourselves.
Right. Oh my gosh. So much to learn. Okay. So we're almost at the end of it. So we learn how to get out of the box. We slowly implement things so that we can get out of the box. And what's funny is this is where there's a part in the book that you talk about this actually. And it's like, okay, so I'm going, I set up this great meeting. I have this great meeting with this author. He has this fantastic book. And then technology starts to come out. Well, my brain starts to tell me, well, maybe Leann, you shouldn't be setting up those kind of meetings. You want to stay safe, get back in your box, right? And so when I was reading that inside the book, and I was like, no, F this. Every single time that something tries to hijack me, I'm going to be like, I see you, hijack, and I'm going to continue moving outside my box.
That's your average. So anytime, the same feeling you get at the edge of the diving board where you don't want to jump, or you want to ask that person to prom or whatever it is, or you want to buy a house, like that feeling you get at the title company, right? When you're like signing the paperwork, the first house, you know what I mean? Like, oh, is this smart or not, right? Yes. That feeling is your average telling you, excuse me, you're exiting. Are you sure you're going somewhere you've never been before? Are you okay? And it's not like they want to stop you. They're giving you a warning, and they're sending you a signal saying, you're about to go to the unknown. Are you sure you're okay? And that is the magnetic pull to be part of yourself. So did you play sports as a kid?
No.
Okay. What'd you do? Like, did you do art?
Dance.
Your dance.
And
okay.
I played the violin.
Who'd you look up to in dance? Because I have a dancer daughter. Like, did you look up to people? Like, did you watch MTV? Did you watch dancers?
Definitely Paula Abdul.
I remember that. What was that one with the cat? What was that song with the cat she had? Remember that?
No, but I'm telling you.
There was a video that was always on. Like, it was like
a shit back then. You were like, oh yes, some Paula Abdul.
She was great. I think it was her with like the little video. One of your listeners will like email you about it. Like there was like a cartoon cat. So if you looked at her and you looked up to her, right? So you'd be like, oh my God, Paula Abdul. You look up at her. This is crazy. This is about your average. You put her on a pedestal and you put your ass on the floor. So when people look up to Michael Jordan, they look down at themselves. Here's my question. If you would have looked up to you, like I had a guy years ago poke me in the stomach and he goes, how tall are you? And I go, I'm 6'6". He goes, why don't you act like it? And I'm like, oh shit, I get it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, he goes, you play 5'11". I think if all of us played full version ourselves, our full version of ourselves, people like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson would be looking up to us. The problem is we look up to other people. We look up to these idiot's the wrong word. We look up to these very hardworking, influential people that are influencers online. Yeah. We become the idiot because we give them full credit. We should admire them, but we could do that too if we chose to. And here's the thing. I think if people played full version Leann, full version Michael, full version Bill, Connie, Susie, I mean, if you got people named Logan probably that are like 22, do you know what I'm saying? But the point is, we don't play full version of ourselves. And if we did, we would be our full average. And most people are a piece of themselves instead of all of themselves.
You know what's so funny about your height? My kids are 6'5" and 6'3". And
good for them.
I found my oldest when he was in junior high, or I guess it's not junior high. I guess it was called middle school. It's junior high for me. So he was center for basketball. And I remember he started kind of walking like this. You know, have you ever seen that? So like
Yeah.
for the people that are doing audio right now, like
Yeah.
his shoulders would hunch forward. And so that was interesting. I saw that. And then I remember sitting in the stands and one of the other parents was talking, not knowing that I was the mom. And they said, there's no way that kid can be 13. There's no way that kid can be 13, blah, 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 blah. Like there was this shit talking going on in the
Yep.
stands. And I was like, I turned around and I'm like, I gave birth to him. Turns out that is his age. And
Yep.
so I think he started going through that at that time too. And I was like, stand up, put your shoulders back. Like this is a benefit, not a curse. And so, yeah.
I see it all the time. Like I used to, like when I take pictures, I bend over like to get in a picture, even a selfie. And then I remember like one day I'm like, screw this. I'm going to make the camera guys' job harder.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make me and my wife look correct. I'm 6'6", she's 5'4". So find a way to have me standing next to this person. So you should never shrink, whether you're 5'1" or you're 4'11" or you're
Yeah.
6'6" for other people. And we do this. We lower our level of play for other people. And what's funny is a lot of agents that are listening to this right now, you only sell the amount of houses you do in a month because if you did 10 times more, you'd have explaining to do. And
Yes.
you don't think, oh no, Michael, I'd have no explaining. Bullshit. I have worked with enough people that I've gotten them from 3 houses to 300 a year, and young kids figured it out that had explaining to do. They had to explain, you know what, I do better now. I don't live there anymore. I love you, but I chose to be more. And so a lot of times we like to stick with the group we're with instead of become the person we're capable of being. And the word sin comes from the Old Testament, which means to miss the mark. And I think the greatest sin in life is, whether it's religious or not, is to not be all of yourself. It's so disrespectful to be a
Yeah.
piece of you. And it's so horrible. If you have children, man, you need to be all of yourself to be when you get to your tombstone. Mine's picked out. You know what it says? It says, all used up, nothing left, did everything while here, done. It doesn't say husband, doesn't say dad. It says all used up, nothing left, complete. That's my tombstone.
Oh my gosh, this makes me so happy. I can't. I told you, like, I have been on a rampage with this book, like putting all these little, pieces down. I'm like, okay, I really like this part. All right. So then when I was in Arizona the other day and I had meetings back to back to back to back, and I crammed it in because I like doing turn and burns. I like to fly in, get all my meetings done, fly right back home. And I do that because I really enjoy my family and I enjoy my dog and I enjoy being in my home, so I want to do a turn and burn. While I was there, one of the people that was at the table, because of course I couldn't stop raving about your book and I was quoting things and talking about things. She said, you do workshops. So what I want to do is I want to talk about the last couple of minutes here.
Yep.
I want to talk about how do people get in front of Michael Bernoff, talking about this book being at the 1 year mark.
Yep.
And tell us how we can get in your world.
Okay. So you can always get the book. And here's the deal. I would recommend getting at least 3 copies. And the reason why is you want to give one to somebody and it's that good. And if not, call me. And I've never had anybody tell me this. Call me. Don't call me. Just call my team and go, hey, he's wrong. Get one for your nightstand to remind you that you're great. Get one for the office and one to read and one maybe to give away. The reason I'd recommend that. So you can get an averagesucks.com. Alternatively, I have a challenge I've been doing for years. I do it every single month. It's live with me. I love working with people. I do not have to do this anymore financially, but I love working with people. So we believe the fastest way to change your brain is auditorily. That's why I love the podcasts. I love when people listen to things. So it is a phone or computer auditory only, no visual, because people get insecure on Zoom. They get tethered to the computer. They can't move around. So like it's a dial in like phone thing. We've only done it to the tune of about 100,000 people have taken it, and it's got results for about 99% of the people. So it's called the Average Sucks Challenge. It used to be called Call to Action, but with the book, and it's how to challenge your average for 5 days, couple hours a day for 5 days over the phone. You drop your kids to school, still listen to me. It's a summertime, no BS. You can do it immediately right now or whenever. I do it every month. And you can go to averagesuckschallenge.com/friends. And you could take it absolutely for free. So Kevin, who introduced us, Kevin bought it for $600. I sold it up until, I don't call it COVID. I call it the unique year because I don't even like saying the word. It is what it is. Last year was unique. It's not the same. I don't want to put that out there. So unique year. So until the 2020, we gave away $3.5 million worth of it during the whole year. And so if you want to take it, it's free, but I don't want you just to take it. I want you to pretend you spent $600. After you register, if you want to do the VIP thing, I think it's like $90, $89. You get a copy of my book, you get that beautiful shirt, and you get to like an AMA or whatever and ask me anything question for $90. I bill out at $50,000 for 8 hours of my time. So I think $90 is fair. Here's what I'm looking for. I want to share the message with the world, and I want to do my part to teach people how to get out of the life they're in. Because I have a very, very, I'll just be very honest about my agenda, Leann. I want my kids to have a great world to live in, and I need people to think straight. Yeah. So we want to get out to as many people as we can to be role models for their life and others, to live effectively, get what they want, take no BS off anybody, live big and be confident. So my kids could have some friends and some people in this world, other people to be raised correctly. So my agenda is very simple. We want to help as many people as possible get what they want. So you'll sell more, you'll do more. And my guarantee is simple. You'll get more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. So hey, listen, I can't sell you something when it's free. So it's averagesuckschallenge.com/friends. But all I'm going to ask for is your most valuable asset, about 10, 12 hours during a week. And when you spend that with me, if you can't sell an extra 2 or 3 homes a year, you're doing something wrong. If you don't have a better relationship with food by the time you're done, you're doing something wrong. If you don't have more intimacy in your life, you did something wrong. I am going to kick your ass and hold your hand, and we're going to have so much fun together. So I'd love to work with anybody who's serious about it. I'd love you to do it too, Leann. Next one, you go to the website. I'd love to work with you.
I'm telling you, Michael, I am so in. And yes, I will do it. And I have no complaining even. I'm going to be happy as I go through my changes, even though it is painful. It's
not going to be painful. What's going to happen is your old average is going to say, are you sure? And then once you build the new average, once you identify as, you know what? I am a healthy person. I am a runner. I am a person that sells 52 properties a year. I am the #1 podcast in the space. When you start identifying, not just pretending, and identifying as a person that's on your way to getting what you want, you then start getting new people in your life. Life gets easy. Stuff shows up in your lap. Stuff starts to happen. So I want to make your life easier, everybody, but you're going to have to confront the fact that what you do gets you the life you currently have. And what you want requires a few different moves than you're making. Not a lot of hard work, a few different moves. Could be just identifying things differently, saying things a different way, changing your language, your communication. So I'd love to help anybody we can that's listening, and your team or anything. So I'm just going to ask all of you, if you choose to do it for real. Don't take a space away from someone who's serious. So if you're going to do it, do it. If not, don't.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have absolutely seriously felt transformed over the last couple of days while I've read your book. So I cannot stress hard and just fast enough. Go get this book. I'm going to buy cases of it for my office here in Portland and for my office down in Phoenix. I want our agents to read it. I can't wait for people to be a part of this. I'm so grateful that you took time out of your life to be
Thank you for having me on
with me. It turns out that France is our second highest download, and we're in 130 cities. So I think people
in France.
Yes, this is.
Je m'appelle Michel. Ça va? Ça va bien, merci. Yeah, there we go.
They must know that I love Paris, so I don't know, but I get a lot of downloads there. So I'm super grateful. Thank you so much, Michael. Is there any words of wisdom you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I'd say, like, if I leave you with one thought, the most valuable asset you have in your life is communication. Learn to master communication. If you would have communicated better with you, 2020 would have been easier, no matter what. I would just tell you, my obsession for the last 20 years, and I'd love you to get obsessed with it as well, is that your life changes in direct proportion to how well you can communicate with you. And it's probably it is 100% the most valuable asset we have to getting anything you want in your life, and your future hinges on it. So get obsessed with communication, understand your average, and go get what you want in life. I'm excited to help you be part of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we'll be airing live soon. So thank you
I'm excited.
Much. All right.
Thank you for having me on. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Michael. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us today on Getting to Know Your Realtor. This episode was brought to you by Lifeline for Hope. Be sure to catch us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much again for joining us today. Have a great day.